NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
A lot of literature has gone into is leadership and art, is leadership a science. On the one hand, many of today's scientists will warn us that science is under attack from those of us who regard a set of opinions rather than a source of objective truth, while arts and liberals will point out the collective mistakes that all of us went to following objective reasoning. So before we begin, I want to share a little story with you. Robert Wilson was the founding director of Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. The vision is to work with industrialists and really look at developing breakthrough research to translate that into applications that will really help the nation's wealth and security. So Wilson was not only a leading physicist, but also an accomplished sculptor. So he designed the laboratory himself, embodiment of the aesthetics of science, in the belief that the way science describes nature is based on aesthetics decisions. So he modeled the building on the proportions of the Beauvais Cathedral in France. Wilson admired the community of medieval cathedral builders and compared them to the community of physicists. He's saying both are daring innovators, both are fiercely competitive, and both have national identity and yet a global mindset. So the cathedral builders themselves, recognized as technically oriented, one of their slogans was ars sin essentia nihil est. That is, art without science is nothing. Perhaps science and art are not so different after all.
Leadership development is a vast subject. Research is being conducted worldwide. Last year, the Harvard Business Press published a fascinating research done by 4 professors of Wharton. The title of their book is The India Way: How India's Top Business Leaders Are Revolutionizing Management. According to them, the India Way is characterized by 4 principal practices: holistic employee engagement, the improvisation and adaptability of managers, creative value delivery to customers, and a sense of brand mission and purpose. According to the CCL study, Indian companies can use the 65-30-5 thumb rule for developing leadership talent. That is, companies should provide a mix of 65% of challenging assignments, 30% of development relationships, and 5% of coursework and training to emerging leaders. For companies that want to unlock leadership potential, giving challenges is central to learning to lead effectively. We are of the opinion that developing leadership in any organization means understanding the gene code of leadership in that organization, then building a framework for the selection and identification of most suitable candidates for future leadership roles. These future leaders will require right kind of exposure, experience, and training to take up challenging roles in the organization. It means every organization will have to make leadership development a way of life.
What are the kind of top strategic goals that organizations have or CEOs have in terms of business imperatives? And clearly, improving operational efficiency, reducing cost. Second biggest priority for CEOs in India today, last quarter, is developing leadership pipeline. Whether it is a large organization, which is one of the business leaders, market leaders in India, or it's a small organization which is actually trying to grow at a very rapid pace, leadership is a very, very important strategic objective for all organizations. 6 truths. And these are 6 truths that I'm going to share from a study of all the companies. First thing that I want to talk about is top companies have a strategic focus towards leadership. Assessment of leadership effectiveness fuels the leadership development initiative. So, one of the sayings that all of you would have heard is what gets measured gets done. Leaders in these companies passionately believe in their role in growing leaders. Talent is more often built than brought, 75% internal, 25% external. This is a new kind of insight that actually has come in. We are going to have a mix of 75% internal people and 25% external. These companies are strategically saying, we do want 25% talent to come from outside. They want the fresh thinking, they want the creativity, they want the innovation, and in some cases, they also want the whole culture of the organization to change. The next is the organization practices reinforce desired leadership behaviors and competencies. Leadership development has actually become the center stage for all HR functions. Whether it is performance management system, it has a linkage to leadership development. Whether it's succession planning, that has a linkage to leadership development. All the top company for leaders have an integrated leadership competency model which has different proficiencies for the top leadership, senior leadership, mid leadership, and young leaders. The whole topic is around the science and art of building leaders, and this is a mix of both. When we talk about leadership strategy, there are certain intent that we have, whether it's doing the math, that is a science. But when you talk about 60% ready and giving that opportunity for the individual, that's an art, right? I mean, how do you measure whether it's 60 or 65 or 70 or 55? And that's a gut that you go with. And so it's a mix of both.
I find the topic personally to be very intriguing, the art and science of leadership. Would you like to share with the audience your perspective on the semantics of the topic?
So the way I see it is, and all of you would agree when I say this, the success of an organization depends largely on the people. And you attract good people, you build great leaders. So I clearly see a direct correlation from an organizational success, and long-term consistent success is derived from the quality of leaders that it has. And great leaders attract good people, okay? And at the end of the day, if you ask a leader, what is his legacy that he leaves behind? Is it the organization, or is it the kind of people and the leaders that he leaves behind? He would say it is the people that he has developed.
I think when we talk of leadership brand, we need to distinguish between leaders and leadership. Leaders are individuals. There can be celebrity leaders and no leadership in the organization. So essentially, when we talk of leadership brand, it is that consistently an organization is producing exceptional managers. They have the quality management and the generation after generation. But let me also share that we can never understand leadership brand unless we understand what bad leadership is all about. So we get often fascinated by leadership, leader, very romantic concept. But I see innumerable examples of bad leadership and how they really destroy organizations.
A leadership brand is really, really essential to sustain growth. And be it to create the capacity for the future, as you heard both Narayan and Anil speak about, and importantly, to attract other great leaders, because leaders appeal to other leaders to join an organization. One of the things that strikes me today is that there is such a cry for good leaders, be it in politics, be it in business world. Everyone's wanting to see true leaders who are leading organizations to be ethical, integrity-led businesses, making a difference to consumers, to societies, to customers. At such a time, every organization must aspire to create a brand of leaders which meets the promise that society wants today.
I think there are three questions. One is, what is it that the organization and people who work for that organization, what is it that they're going to create? So this is about purpose. The second one is, how will they create it? So it's about the kind of meaning that comes into the lives of people who work for that organization. How exciting, how boring, how meaningful will it be? And the third is, how capable is the organization and the people in that organization? How capable are they of living that purpose and creating that meaning? I think there's a real problem when you have individuals who become larger than the organization. And to me, that is a matter of concern. So it's the congruence of the organization and the leaders, and leaders are many, it's not one. It's a whole plethora of people from top to bottom, and it's about the promise, it's about the purpose, it's about the meaning and the ability to deliver.
There are a lot of companies where you could categorize is based on bad leadership, and that's mainly driven by the fact that, They have continued to make mistakes and repeat the mistakes, and that's where it's landed up into problems. So when you have bad leadership at the helm and you're not able to attract the right kind of talent, that's what leads to the downfall of the organization. It's symptomatic of the society that we live in, and you can see it as you scan across companies globally and within India as well.
Is it possible for a not great leadership brand to become a good leadership brand? In other words, is a turnaround possible?
The leadership is all about turnaround. It is possible, provided the eyes are set rightly for leaders. When I look back, look at two leaders come to my mind. One is R.K. Talwar, the chairman of State Bank of India in early 70s. Highest level of integrity and the sustenance of the organization through people building. Second, which comes to my mind, is V. Krishnamurthy, who is currently chairman of Competition Commission, who built BHEL, who built Steel Authority of India. They were the people, the genre of such leaders that look here, without any compensation, without any incentivization, without anything, and with all the 3 C's, CAG, CVC and what have you, how these people have created iconic institutions, great institutions, big institutions. And I have studied some of these people and I found what exactly they did. One was the highest level of congruence, highest level of integrity, and no greed at all. I think some of these aspects are not talked in leadership.
Leena, we understand that leadership brand is critical, but do your customers and your employees really care?
I think without doubt, a customer will first care about how we are partnering them for growth. They'll care about what is the kind of service levels, what's our execution in the marketplace. So certainly they're going to care about that first before being very impressed with HUL as great leaders working for it, because they must see that leadership translate into performance and into execution. And if there is great leadership and if there is a pipeline of good leaders coming through, it must translate into better execution on the field and better feel from a customer about the partnership that he's experiencing to grow his business. So clearly, I don't think it is so much in terms of the leadership brand, but into translation of that brand into reality. And I just want to build on what Narayan said. Narayan said, you know, people are the most important asset of a company. I believe it's not people, it's performing and leading people. Employees, I feel, have a great sense of pride when they feel that their organization has the capacity to create leadership for the country, for the globe. So I do believe for employees it makes a direct difference. It's something that they begin to inspire towards. They aspire for it, saying, hey, this is possible, there are others in my organization who've done it, and surely I can be there too.
How will India's commitment to boost manufacturing from 16 to 25% of GDP accelerate quality growth?
They need to amend their industrial policies to reflect the national manufacturing policy that is coming out.
Even today, the industry occupies only 3 or 4% of the land in India.
The manufacturing environment can be a very exciting environment in terms of a high-tech work environment.
Many small enterprises together create a larger, effective enterprise.
Will commitment translate into reality?
With good governance, man, I think we have a good chance of a success.
Hello everyone and welcome to this extremely special session.
Move away from investment backing and start talking about management solutions for India.
Ethical hacking is when a company hires you and gives you permission to hack into the systems.
We're larger than any state in Europe. So why can't Maharashtra have global aspirations?
So I think there is a mismatch both from the central government and the state government. We need to align and move a lot faster.
The private sector can't be bailed out. In a free market economy, those who die must die.
The bigger companies like us, how do we partner with smaller companies?
We will have to focus on adding supply and thereby rectifying the supply-demand balance.
There is growth to be had here, that India will become amongst the largest consumer markets in the world.